You know Marvin Gaye as the sole legend behind Let's Get It On and What's Going On. But did you know he once tried to leave music to join the NFL? This is the true, unbelievable story of how Marvin almost tackled linebackers instead of love songs. Early 1970s, Marvin Gaye is fresh off the success of What's Going On, one of the most critically acclaimed soul albums ever, spiritually deep, politically conscious. Marvin was seen as a prophet in a tux, but behind the scenes, he was bored, disillusioned, tired of Motown drama, tired of fame. And so, out of the blue, he decided he wanted to become a professional football player. Yes, Marvin Gaye, silky-voiced crooner of love ballads, wanted to join the Detroit Lions. Marvin started training seriously. He bulked up. He was working out with real NFL players like Mel Farr and Lem Barney, who were also Motown fans and sort of indulging him. He even told reporters, "If I can't play pro football, I don't want to be around anymore." He wasn't joking. He got so into it, he commissioned custom football gear helmet, pads, jersey, the whole thing. He truly believed he could make the team. Eventually, he asked the Lions for an official tryout. And the team, they were like, "We love Marvin, but if he gets hit and something happens to him, no one wants to be the guy who killed Marvin Gaye." So the team politely declined, but they did let him hang out with the squad, go to practices, and even record the sounds of the stadium for use in his future songs. You've heard of singers fainting from nerves, but what about a soul legend who passed out from singing too hard? This is the insane and 100% true story of Jackie Wilson's knockout performance. Jackie Wilson, also known as Mr. Excitement, was one of the most electric soul performers of the 1950s and 60s. His voice was ridiculous operatic range, pure energy, and his live shows, insane. We're talking full-on flips, splits, spins, James Brown-level footwork, sometimes even more. But one night in the early 1960s, Jackie was performing Lonely Teardrops, one of his biggest hits, and in classic Jackie fashion, he went all out during the final chorus. And then mid-spin, mid-note he collapsed. Boom, straight to the floor. The band kept playing. The crowd were cheering, screaming, giving a standing ovation. They thought it was just a dramatic stage move, but Jackie wasn't moving. After a few seconds of awkwardness, the band slowly stopped, and people started realizing, wait, this guy's not getting up. Turns out, Jackie had gotten so into the performance, holding a high note while doing the spin, that he literally passed out from a combination of breath control, heat, and pure exertion. He had to be carried off stage and revived backstage with cold towels and smelling salts. The best part? When he came to, his first question was, "Did I hit the note?" Ah, a true legend. Some soul singers bring a mic and a backing band. But Solomon Burke brought a throne, a tape, and a barbecue pit. This is the unbelievable but true story of the most extra soul legend of all time. Let's talk about a man who didn't just walk into a room, he made an entrance. Solomon Burke was one of the most powerful voices of 1960s soul gospel infused, commanding and charismatic as hell. But he wasn't just a singer. He was also a self-declared bishop, a funeral home owner, and more importantly, he insisted that he was the king of rock and soul. And he meant it. So how did he show that? He brought a literal throne to every show. No joke, ... Solomon Burke traveled with a custom-made, velvet-lined throne, often gold trim. He'd have it set center stage before he walked out slowly, dramatically draped in a royal cape. Sometimes he'd even wear a crown. At one gig in the UK, the venue staff thought it was a joke. They said, "Sorry, sir, you can't actually put that on stage." Burke looked at them and said, "I don't go on stage unless the throne is there first." Then he sat down on his throne. and didn't stand up for the entire concert. He sang the whole show seated like royalty, and the crowd ate it up. They were loving every minute of the regal drama. Oh, he was a hustler too. Burke also made serious bank on tour, not just from singing, but by selling barbecue ribs out of his limousine after shows. For real. He'd open the limo trunk, and fans would line up to buy ribs wrapped in foil. He once said, "I never leave a town without my money. Either they buy the records, or they buy the ribs." The time Patti LaBelle kicked off her shoes and nearly hit a fan in the face. How one Soul Diva's dramatic stage move became her signature. Let's talk about Patti LaBelle, one of the undisputed queens of soul. Powerhouse voice, wild vocal runs, and enough emotion to knock you off your seat. But if you've ever seen Patti perform live, or even just caught a clip, you'll notice something. She always kicks off her shoes. Well, that tradition started with a very real, very funny moment back in the early 70s when she was still performing with LaBelle. Yes, the group that gave us Lady Marmalade. One night during a show, Patti was going off on a ballad. You know, knees bent, sweating, howling from the gut. The stage lights were burning, her feet were killing her, and she was wearing painfully high heels. So mid-song, mid-scream, she just ripped one shoe off and flung it, bam! The shoe went flying across the stage and nearly hit someone in the front row. People gasped, then they cheered. So Patti, always one for the drama, tossed the other one two on beat and kept going like it was part of the act. From that moment on, it became her signature move. The shoes became a whole thing. Over the years, fans started bringing signs that said, "Toss it, Patti," or even showing up with helmets. At one concert in the 80s, she kicked her shoe so hard, it went into the lighting rig. Another time, it flew straight into a saxophonist's chest, who didn't even miss a note. Patti's response? That's what you get for standing in the way of a woman in pain. The time Aretha Franklin crashed the Grammys and saved the entire show. The ultimate diva power move, live, unrehearsed, and perfect. Let me set the stage for you. It's 1998. The Grammy Awards are honoring opera legend Luciano Pavarotti, who's scheduled to perform Nessun Dorma, one of the most iconic and difficult arias in opera history. But minutes, literally minutes before he's supposed to go on live national TV, he cancels. Throat problems. A total no-show. Panic backstage. The producers are sweating bullets. The show's about to fall apart on live TV. And who just happens to be sitting in the front row that night? Aretha, the Queen of Soul, Franklin. The Queen says, "I got this." Now, Aretha had heard Pavarotti rehearse the song the night before. She'd loved it. Even hummed along. So when the Grammy team comes scrambling, she calmly says, "I'll do it." And they're like, "Wait, what?" "I know the song. I'll sing it." Now, keep in mind, this is an Italian opera aria. Not soul, not gospel, but full-blown operatic performance. With no rehearsal, no teleprompter, and only a rough idea of the arrangement. She walks on stage. The orchestra plays. And Aretha Franklin absolutely crushes it. She belts out Nessun Dorma with raw power and emotion, infusing it with soul like no opera house ever had. The crowd goes completely silent, then erupts. Standing ovation, tears, goosebumps. Even opera critics were stunned. Luciano Pavarotti himself later said, "Only one singer could have stepped in for me like that, Aretha." If you enjoyed this video and would like us to do more, then please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you for your support.